Hi, I'm Pam, and I'm here to talk about retro video games. Today we're talking about one of the classic spaceship shooters. It's Truxton. Truxton is a vertically scrolling shoot-'em-up. Developed by Toaplan, it was originally released for arcades in 1988 as Tatsujin, and would later be ported to PC Engine and Sega Genesis. I played this on Genesis. I'm gonna just read the story summary for you right from the game manual. You are Tom the Bomb. As a fearless ace pilot, you are assigned to fly the Super Fighter against the Giddens. You take off for the far reaches of space. Whatever you find out there is yours to destroy. So, yeah, typical Space War stuff. When I hear the name Truxton, I only think of one thing: classic Game Room. Whatever happened to that channel? Mark used to talk about Truxton all the time, so I always assumed it was one of the greats. Is it though? The start screen to Truxton is very bare bones, reflecting its arcade roots. You pick your difficulty, which impacts how many continues you get and how many projectiles enemy ships will shoot at you, and you go. The very first thing I noticed while playing is that, unlike many games in this genre and time period, your basic unpowered weapon doesn't suck. It's a 3-pronged spread shot which can hold its own. Picking up power boosters will level up your weapon to increase the number of bullets and the spread, with the highest level giving you 2 support ships that can help protect your sides and rear. You can also pick up the green Truxton beam, which fires straight ahead, and the blue thunder laser, which locks onto enemy targets. You can boost your speed up to 5 times and collect destroyer bombs, which clear the screen of enemies and their projectiles. The Genesis version of Truxton does a few things that the other versions don't. For one, about a quarter of the screen is blocked off to show your lives, bombs, power level, and score. This does seem like a strange choice, but I honestly kinda like it. It makes it very easy to see how many lives and bombs you have, what stage you're on, and how close you are to getting your ship to the next power level. It does it without obscuring anything that's happening in the gameplay area or blending in with the background. The one thing I question is, why not add your speed level here? It seems strange to leave just one thing out. This UI also means you can't see the entire playfield. If you fly to the edges of the screen, it'll scroll a bit, so some things will not be visible at all times, and attacks can appear from off-screen. I found Truxton to be quite challenging. There's a short ramp up, and the difficulty does ebb and flow within stages, but when it's tough, it's really tough. There are areas which need to be memorized, such as when enemies appear from the bottom of the screen behind you. In addition to the huge stage-end bosses, there are also a number of mini-bosses, many of which appear in multiples. These tended to be the toughest parts. It only takes one hit on your rather large target to kill you, sending you back to the previous checkpoint and removing some of your power. If you die in a bad spot, near a checkpoint without any power-ups nearby, it can make it next to impossible to continue. And what was even worse for me was that you go back to your base speed if you die. This makes avoiding damage incredibly difficult. Extra lives are fairly abundant from reaching certain scores or finding them in the field, but if you're not powerful enough to tackle the checkpoint you respawn at, they don't always help. If you lose all your lives, you can continue up to 6 times on normal mode. If you manage to finish the game's 5 stages, you'll get a brief ending and then you'll loop back to the beginning and start round 2. There are 5 total rounds with 5 different endings, including one where you get a girlfriend and one where you find your long-lost father. I only played through 2 rounds, but the second did involve more enemy projectiles than the first. The multiple rounds and endings is a feature unique to the Genesis version of the game. In terms of visuals, Truxton's a little bit on the plain side. Now I know this is an earlier Genesis release and it's an arcade port, but in terms of environments and enemy designs, it just can't really compare to games that released not long afterwards, like Thunder Force 3 or Musha. A lot of the game takes place against an uninteresting space background, just a blue-black screen with a few stars. When you approach an asteroid, things get more colorful, but it's still not overly impressive. There's no cool parallax scrolling or other effects that add visual flair. There are times when you fly over water or lava, and these textures are completely static. If there's one thing that stands out visually, it's the destroyer bombs, which cause a huge skull and explosion effect to appear on screen for a second. Maybe my eyes are just getting old. Yeah, they are. But I found projectiles were difficult to see, especially in the last stage of the game. Here, they change from red to blue because the background is now red. They just don't really stand out much and made it almost impossible for me to use the blue weapon, which completely obscures them. Each of the fully powered weapons takes up quite a lot of screen real estate while being fired continuously. This is where I was happy for the single fire button, which, while putting out less firepower, just makes it a lot easier to see what's going on. Lastly, I have to talk about the music, which is not my favorite. The soundtrack on Genesis is sped up from the arcade version, making the music much more hectic than the actual pace of the gameplay. I'm not a fan of the sound quality of the music either, which I find sounds weak and tinny most of the time. For me, Truxton on Genesis is just okay. If you're specifically looking for a challenge, you will find one. However, there are so many shoot-'em-ups from this era that offer better music, enemy designs, and environments. Truxton just doesn't do a whole lot to stand out from the crowd. If you want to see a review of a game I prefer, check out my review of Musha, or another of my videos. I have a Patreon if you want to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.